Back here on First Take, on the other side of that Cowboys matchup, a very different story for the Commanders. Quarterback Jayden Daniels suffered a right hamstring injury early in the third quarter and did not return in the game. Head coach Dan Quinn said after the game that Daniels is set to get an MRI today. And here's Jayden Daniels' mom on social media last night. She says, "I wish you would stop manifesting RG3 on my son. Words are powerful, and that's all that's talked about." Obviously, I feel like referring to RG3, his injuries and derailing his career and things like that, possibly maybe listening to people on social media. However, the Commanders have a big problem. No Terry McLaurin, no Deebo Samuel, Austin Eckler out for the season with an Achilles injury. Now you have Jayden Daniels that's down. Cam, I'll start with you. How concerning is this Jayden Daniels injury?
It's extremely concerning. And I went on, my platform to speak about it before the season began, and I spoke about RG3's impact, right? And if anybody knew what RG3's impact was, it was me. Coming into the NFL a year before he actually came into the NFL, RG3 gave Chocolate City the electrifying impact that it was yearning for. Now, history seems to repeat itself, not with the injury aspect. I'm saying it from the element of what Jayden Daniels has been able to give the fan base, the organization, and the team of the Washington Commanders has been something that has to be looked at as like, yo, why is he not the most protected person? That's the greatest asset to the Washington Commanders, as we know. But to see this happen, right, to look at how he's been hit, how he's been, taking hits more so in these last couple of games, and it's a little alarming. It's not just the injury to a Jayden Daniels that has me scratching my head, but it's also, you got Noah Brown, you got Terry McLaurin, you have Deebo Samuel. This team needs to get healthy because the best ability is availability, and their top tier players outside of Zach Ertz are not available, and that's not a good look for the Washington Commanders.
I think they're in trouble because it appears to be a hamstring injury, and what's one of the main factors when you talk about Jayden Daniels? He's a dual threat guy. It's his legs.
Right.
What's one of the things that make him so dangerous is him utilizing his legs and running around, and so. Not only that, we've seen the hamstring injury with Lamar Jackson and this toll that it's taken this year. And then you look at the schedule. The next two games, they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs coming up this week, and then after that, the Seattle Seahawks. So you could be like almost out of this thing before, really before the halfway point. And so, listen, at the end of the day, the number one thing you got to protect your franchise quarterback. Can't put him in harm's way, but that hamstring injury is a huge thing for Jayden Daniels and the Commanders.
Yeah, I think they need to operate with an abundance of caution, and this franchise has the scar tissue of RG3. Not saying that Jayden Daniels' career is going to be on that same track, but I think we're dancing around a bigger conversation that needs to be happening because, Damian, you just said it. They've got to protect him. The organization, from a personnel standpoint, tried to protect him this offseason. That's why they traded for Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
That's why they drafted Josh Connolly in the first round. But there's also a matter of the scheme that they employ. They've got Jayden Daniels sitting in shotgun like a duck. And the defense sees the ball every single snap. Since the beginning of 2024, no team has had more plays out of the shotgun than the Washington Commanders. Do you know who the second team is on that list? The Cincinnati Bengals. Where they quarterback at right now. And so when we start talking about being able to protect Jayden Daniels, it has to be done by personnel, but it also has to be done by scheme too. Because when you got 11 sets of eyes on that side of the ball, seeing the ball the entire time, that makes your quarterback a target. And at some point, Cliff Kingsbury is going to have to evolve this offense because Jayden Daniels cannot continue to be the most contacted quarterback in football.
Yeah.
No quarterback since he's come into the league has been hit more than Jayden Daniels. There is a correlation between that and the formations that the Washington Commanders keep rolling out there. And at some point, something about that has to change.
Yeah, and Woody, you brought up the schedule. So what does the foreseeable? Go ahead, Cam. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to kind of chime in real quick in regards to Chris, because Hey man, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Cliff Kingsbury is a person that has shown you over his years, even dating back to Texas Tech and Texas A&M and Arizona, he's not an under center type of coordinator, right? These things impact, how his philosophy is. Now, you're looking at a situation where Jaden Daniels, the philosophy around him is to put the ball in his hands. I don't think you don't take him out of the shotgun, but you have to have some type of implementation to protect him. Short game, running attack that we haven't necessarily seen as dominant, obviously with Eckler, being injured. But these are the things when you're looking at your franchise quarterback taking certain hits. Putting the ball in his hands is one thing, but obviously protecting our key asset is another as well.
And Woody, I just wanted to touch on, you brought up the schedule. What does the foreseeable future look like for this Commanders team, just knowing what's happening with those injuries on offense and especially with Jaden Daniels?
Well, it leaves them extremely vulnerable and limited offensively. Like, listen, yesterday, they were playing with a bunch of guys, quite honestly, like practice squad players. And so, when you don't have, Terry McLaurin out there who's your obvious number one deep threat, a guy like Deebo Samuel, who's a guy that, has been known throughout his career is a yak type of guy, yards after contact. When you don't have these playmakers available to you, you become like teams can start focusing in on who's left. You're the only guy left, as far as Jaden Daniels is concerned, and it's unfortunate to see that ultimately he ends up getting injured in the pocket against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely something you don't want to see.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional grade products you need to get the job done with fast delivery you can depend on and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by today. Damian Woody is here, ESPN NFL analyst, joining us here on Unsportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Next week, more likely to be in the exact same role they were in this week. Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Dolphins, Tua, starting quarterback of the Dolphins.
Tua. I won't say Tua. I would say this. Mike McDaniel's a dead man walking, but do you have an interim on your staff? I think
you're not rocking with Anthony Weaver?
Have you seen how bad the Dolphins defense is?
I understand that.
Like I said, I think we all know that they're going to clean house in Miami, but you got to be careful of, just canning a guy without having somebody competent as an interim. We saw it with the Jets last year, when they canned Robert Saleh after 5 games. And then Jeff Obrecht came in, and listen, it wasn't his fault, but he was in over his head, and it just got worse. And it's still carrying over right now. So, I think Tua, I think Tua will be in his spot.
Okay, he's gonna be in his spot at least till next week. Should Tua be in his spot next year as the Dolphins starting quarterback?
Absolutely not. Tua is in my mind, first of all, I never believed that Tua was a guy that can get you to and win a championship.
So did you think it was the right thing for them to pay him?
No.
Okay.
I never thought they should have paid him. A small, undersized, injury-prone quarterback in the National Football League? What are we doing? You paying that guy how much? 50? $50 million for a small, undersized, injury-prone quarterback?
That's a bad leader.
Who says bad things at the podium?
That's a bad leader. Everybody deserves to be fired. The GM, the coach, everybody deserves to be gone.
Get the beat riders out of there, too.
All of them. Just clean house with everybody.
Get everybody out of there.
Well, Damian, a team that we expected to be in the hot mess conversation with the Dolphins was the New York Giants, and they are not. I know they had an epic collapse yesterday, but it feels like they have their guy in Jackson Dart. So when you look at that game yesterday, do you take away positives that, okay, they were competitive in this game at Denver versus that defense, or do you say, wow, it should have been much better, they had that game in hand?
You know what, Smalls, literally that might be we're going to talk about that game a lot on Get Up this morning. I came away from it thinking, Giants got that quarterback.
That's what I thought.
The Giants got,
that part.
The Giants, because, CeCe, you know this, when you get the quarterback, everything else will fall into place. That's how important the position is. But, Giant fans don't want to hear that right now. They don't. Bro, you gave up 33 points in one quarter.
Not great.
We can't, you can't absolve the coach. You can't absolve the coach. That was horrific by the Giants. The Denver Broncos couldn't do squat for three quarters, and they had a complete meltdown in one quarter. That's unexcusable. Inexcusable, excuse me.
Damian, you just brought up the coach. I was thinking about this. So the coach did a bad job. Everybody did a bad job late in that game yesterday. They gave up 33 in the fourth, as you mentioned. But the coach is also the one that absolutely pointed out the quarterback, said, I want him, got him, and now has helped him develop.
Yeah.
Does Brian Daboll now have to stay? He's tied to Dart. You can't argue that.
And Joe Shane, who drafted him, too.
No, I think that's a different, like.
You do?
I'm not, me personally, I would keep Brian Daboll. I don't think I'd keep Joe Shane.
I think there's an argument in that favor as well.
And why?
I think when you look at the everything in its totality, from Saquon, some of the draft picks that you've missed on, what
Daniel Jones looks like now.
What Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looking like a wagon right now. I would keep Daboll because his work with the quarterback, but I don't feel like I'm tied to the GM.
Damian, I said this earlier about the Colts. I didn't see it coming, but I know a championship contender when I see one. When you see the Colts, do you see a title contender?
Yes. I was literally last week, I said, I need to see them against the Chargers. Because the Colts really hadn't played. I know they had the game against the Broncos, but let's be real. They won because of the leverage call. The whole leverage call, and then he got the penalty, and then they go on and kick a game-winning field goal. I said, let me see them on the road against the Chargers, who I think is a pretty good
solid team.
Solid team.
Should be.
Listen, they kicked the Chargers' ass. They kicked their ass at their place. It wasn't even close. They dominated the Chargers. I'm watching that game, I'm like, that's a championship team right there. They got everything. They got a runner. The quarterback is good. The offensive line is top tier. They got They got a good tight end.
D-line can
hunt. They got at every critical position that you need. They got it. Colts got it.
How would you feel about them, though, if they go up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who look like the Chiefs of old?
Well, you know who I'm picking. I'm picking the Chiefs. The Chiefs are better this year than they were last year.
Upsetting.
And I don't even think it's close. The